Welcome to a new series called Yap Sessions with Rue. You are on Brown Girl Unscripted. Welcome, and I'm so happy to have you here on this podcast. If you're new around here, first off, I'm proud of you for clicking on it because this is a fun community. Honestly, we talk all things leveling up, just feeling sexy inside out, adding a bit of spice and energy to your week. I'm Rucha. I am the host of this podcast. I am the CEO of Ashki Studio, the company that is bringing this podcast to you, whether you're watching on YouTube, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it. I'm so happy you're here, dude. Let's get into it. So, in today's episode, I wanted to talk about something that I feel like I've been seeing all over, especially self-development YouTube, but in general, it's just everywhere, and I feel like it's such an overused term, and that is self-care. And I have been guilty of it. I've used it in one of my videos before, and looking back, I'm like, what the fuck? Because honestly, what is self-care? I think that this is a question that I used to always ask myself, and to kind of back when I was more insecure and kind of in my bag about things, whether it was body image, confidence, career, whatever, I would just feel I need to have self-care. I need to do these specific things, whether it's journaling every day, or I need to go work out to do this. I need to go and I don't even know what do I used to do. Oh, I need to do the yoga for that said minute. I need to make this kind of food. And what I noticed over time was I would implement every single self-care method into my life. Yeah, I wasn't happier, honestly. I didn't feel like I was self-caring per se. I just felt like I was exhausted trying to keep up with all these different things and methods that the internet and people around me, or not people around me honestly, that I just saw people doing, trends on social media, etc. And then when I just said, you know what, screw that, I'm not gonna be doing this. I'm just gonna go at my own pace and see what works for me and what works for my level of self-care. And what I realized is that self-care is not a one-fits-all. First off, obviously self-care is not the face mask, etc., whatever. That is a form of pampering yourself, whatever. But I think real self-care is if you, and you guys have probably heard this quote before, it's super popular, but it's that saying that's you can literally do all the self-care things. Okay, so this is, I clearly don't remember the exact saying, but essentially it's just saying how you can implement all the routines in your life, etc., and do all the things that look good on paper, but if your mind is not right, then you're not gonna be doing good. And I think that a common trap that I feel like a lot of us, especially when I talk to other people, I realized I fall into is you try to do all these things oh, I want to do this perfect, I want to do that, I want to achieve this, but it's you have to go at what works for you and what you actually want. And for self-care tips, I think that there is no such thing as a specific amount of self-care tips that really align with everyone. There's specific things for different things, different people, etc. But a big thing I've learned is the biggest self-care tip for me, I guess I'm kind of contradicting what I just said, is going at your own pace, listening to your body, listening to what works for you, as opposed to I don't know, any advice you might hear. One thing, I'll give you an example from my own life, is I thought that I had to journal every single day and to really get my thoughts down, to feel good, and to just, I don't know, really take care of myself per se, quote unquote. If you're watching this on video, I literally did a quote unquote sort of hand motion, but essentially I tried doing that and I did it for a little bit, but it burnt me the fuck out, honestly. I just felt it was so exhausting. I'm someone that reflects a lot, so I did not want to be ruminating and thinking about emotions all over again when I'm journaling every single day. Whereas now I do maybe once a week, once every other week, and that's perfect. I'm good, and that's an example of something where it's it's not one fits all. Or maybe going to the gym every single day at 5 a.m. is not something that works for every entrepreneur. If you're an entrepreneur watching this, you might be. You don't, just because you're not waking up at fucking 4 a.m., 5 a.m. does not mean you are failing or that you're bad at your routine. Do what works for you. Come from someone who literally woke up at 10 a.m. today. I'm a full-time entrepreneur, and I'm just you are able to make your own routine that works for you. You don't have to go based on what every single other person is saying. Just go, if it's working for you, then why are we questioning it so much? And that brings me to the point where it's I think that we are so wired to feel if we're doing something that's so different from everyone else, we're likely to be oh, well, what I'm doing, maybe it's wrong. And my answer to you about that, or not even answer, my thing to say to that is just that it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. Maybe you are just different, and maybe that's okay. What if you just took a second to embrace that that's something that works for you? Maybe like journaling isn't something you want to do every day. Maybe you're someone that like you don't want to go to therapy. Like, and I say this dearly and openly, but like I have friends that their therapy has not worked for them. They're not someone that, it's not a one fit all thing. So even when I see stuff on the internet where it's like, oh, you should go to therapy, I go to therapy, it works for me, but that does not mean it works for everyone. And I think that self-care, like healing, self-development, all that, it's just like, it is not one fits all. And I think that a big thing, if you are going through this right now, is I want you to remind yourself, like, it's okay to not do everything by the book. Go as you go. And like, if something's not working for you, stop trying to fit something that isn't working. Like, it is just not that deep. Like, it's okay for it to not work. Maybe something else will make you feel good. And find your own routine. Try different things. Like, I think that that's what's so good about life. There's so many options you have to be able to make new routines for yourself. Like, isn't that so exciting in a way if you flip the switch? Like, it's so many different options. And I think that it's amazing to think about that and then realize that you don't have to pick one specific thing. Maybe for a few months of your life you do want to journal every day. Maybe for a few months of your life that one thing does work every day. Maybe therapy did work for a one time, but then you change your mind. Then like, maybe it's not working good. Maybe it's not working out for you. Maybe it's not feeling good in the way you used to. And that's okay. You're allowed to change. You're allowed to like switch up your habits. You're allowed to switch up your routine. And you don't have to be the same person or choose one thing and just do that only. Like, just take care of yourself, or with anything truly. But like, I think that that's the biggest thing I want you to get from this episode. If you don't get anything, is that I'm allowed to change my mind. I'm allowed to be different. I'm allowed to do things that work for me. And maybe it doesn't work for the people around me, directly around me, but that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me, because if it works for me, then that's what matters, you know? And I think that always comes down to self-validation, which is something I feel like I had to come to terms with really like working on. And it's like, you have to validate your own like self, truly. Like, if something about you is so different than everything that you might be seeing, or maybe some things you're seeing, maybe the people that are directly around you, like, that doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. And I promise you, there are other people in the world of 7 billion people out there that can relate to you, that are going through maybe the same thing you're going through, or that have the same inclinations, that have the same way of thinking about something, but you just haven't met them yet, or maybe you're gonna meet them soon. And I think that is amazing. That's amazing to think about. That's amazing to see. And it's amazing to remind yourself of that, because then you're like, oh, well, like, just because I am not relating to these people, just because what I'm doing seems so different to this around me, doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me. And it's better that I validate myself, because I know what goes on in my head. I know what's working for me. And end of the day, if it doesn't feel good, if it's not working, why would you keep doing it? Like, why would you put yourself through that? And yeah, I don't know. That's all to say that, like, bro, we live on a floating rock. I say this all the time on like a lot of my b-roll content, a lot of my reels, but like, truly guys, we live on a floating rock. Self-care and taking care of yourself, like, we're so different. Just do what works for you, like, truly. And it sounds so simple, and it's like obviously easier said than done. Like, this took me a few years. Even now sometimes I'm like, oh, like, I didn't do this, I'm kind of hard on myself. But I'm like, no, Rucha, like, you did all that and you're doing amazing. Like, you need to figure out what works for you. And something I did in my entrepreneurship journey, I was like, oh, well, maybe I need to wake up at 5 a.m. every day and do that. But literally, I'm not a morning person. And I mean, like, not naturally a morning person. I still wake up in the mornings, obviously, but I was like, it's not working for me. I would be dreadful. I would be so tired. I wouldn't get anything done. And maybe some people, they are able to go work out and do all that, and it works for them, that routine. But I noticed it was more productive when I would stay up later, and then I still got enough sleep. So it's like, I'm just doing what works for me at this period of time. Maybe later on I'll change that up. Maybe sometimes I will want to wake up at like 6 a.m. or something, but that doesn't mean that it's the only way to go about it. And my way is valid too, just like your way of doing something, your way of taking care of yourself, your way of going about your traumas, your experiences, how to go about your life. It suits you and your needs and your likes and dislikes, and it is okay if someone doesn't understand that. It is okay if it's different from what you might see trending on social media, or what other people are doing, what influencers are doing, what celebrities are doing. Like, it's not that deep. It's okay. Like, you don't even know what they're posting is real, first of all, okay? Because people post the highlights, and I mean, I'll be honest, like 2 years ago, I've definitely posted some self-care reels about things that I do, and I don't do those things anymore, and I'm honestly a lot happier. So all that goes to say is that really just hone into who you are and validate yourself, and stop listening to a bunch of advice about what exactly specific things you should do, and then try to force yourself to like do that, and then be mad at yourself when it's not working because there's something wrong with you, because like there's nothing wrong with you, sweetie. It's just that that's not for you, and it's not working for you, and that's that, truly. Like, who gives a f? Anyways, I have yapped enough. I would love it if you guys can let me know in the comments. If you guys can let me know through review, through rating, if you guys resonated with anything, if you guys liked what I talked about, if you related to anything, if there's anything you want me to say more of, another video you want me to make, or another podcast episode kind of relating to this, or maybe something else, please let me know. I really love when you guys do that. Honestly, it makes my day. It's so nice to hear that the content I'm making has had an impact, and it's always good to hear feedback, honestly, because I'm always trying to make my podcast, my YouTube videos just so much better day by day, and I mean, you guys are the best way to do it. So I love you so much, and stay sexy. Sexy is a mindset, always remember that, okay? I love you. Bye.